does Charlotte Perez believe? What is Charlotte Perez's platform? I'm just going to read it real quick, and then I'm going to kind of break it down to see the comparing and contrasting. She worked on anti-Tabor initiatives, so she's not an anti-Tea Party zealot. She's not a libertarian. She is an independent thinker. She's a member of the Democratic Party. She has had a charge of being a super liberal, and I kind of wish she was a super liberal. I think I might be more radical than her in some things, right? But that's okay, man. You know, I'm radical. But that's okay. But I feel like because she represents the lumpen proletariat, so she is scaring the shit out of, you know, these damn trolls, these damn hobbits. So all you, Republican hobbits who's terrified of all humans and all people, especially those with darker skin, she's conservative. Joshua Bruns can work on these solar trees. They both believe in getting solar trees all over the place. Solar trees are just free little charge-up stations for your laptops and for your cell phones. It increases the walkability. It's cool, relatively cheap. Once they're installed, they pay for themselves until the end of time. So it just shows you there. Just solved the energy crisis, right? So the entire community could always have charged cell phones and charged up laptops. And that would encourage people, right, to get out and about and to take videos and take pictures and look at articles and share, different things. So solar trees are going to be everywhere. Community victory gardens will be everywhere if we get Charlotte Perez and Joshua Bruns into Pueblo City Council. She's 100% against Black Hills. She's like fucking Nara. That's my interpretation. But basically, don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out, right? She just does not give two shits. Believe that there's that same visceral disgust with Black Hills out of Mark Aliff. He's a Republican conservative, and he's at wit's ends with Black Hills too. He says something must be done. So, and then there's that Sweden's trash to electricity, turning trash into electricity. Trash, Back to the Future shit, fucking trash. It's like, hey bro, you got some trash? Why? Because I want to get some energy for my car so I can drive down the fucking block. What kind of trash you need? Some cardboard, some plastic? What kind of? Oh man, then that would be a fascinating conversation too, right? So recycling center is Josh Bruns, and they would both work on. She'd probably be in favor of a free recycling center, a free spot to drop off trash. How come we don't have that? And there's some areas in this community that's just like that 8, 11, and 3rd Street. That's the trash. That's a dump right there. That's the dump. People throw fucking trash. Backbone, you're going to have Chris Nickel and Ray Aguilera and Larry Intencio, who are going to be the 3 remaining council members on Pueblo City Council. 4 positions are up. 2 of the incumbents are rerunning, and the other 2 are wide open seats. The at-large seats are wide open, so all 7 are brand new, and so they're all newcomers, right? So that's wonderful. We're definitely going to change when it comes to 2. When it comes to the other 2, that's a possible change too. So theoretically, it could be a revolution. It could totally change the entire makeup of city council. All the 2 incumbents could lose, and now you have 4 brand new people. Or the 2 incumbents could have a change of heart. They could evolve, and then they could just say, you know what, I'm a progressive. Hell yeah, I'm a progressive. We need to get rid of this homelessness. We need to get rid of this fucking poverty. It's time to get Sweden's trash to electricity program in here. Let's get solar trees all over the damn place. Let's end the war on drugs. Aliff has all these ideas about identifying the drug houses and the spots, trying to get the community to snitch on each other. But Charlotte Perez is in favor of the war on drugs when it comes to all other drugs but marijuana. So she believes in the legalization of marijuana, believes that marijuana is the saving grace, and alcohol is actually our downfall, and all the other hard drugs out there. So only marijuana is the only drug that she believes in, so she's in favor of the war on drugs. That is Nixon's war on drugs, 1973. That's a conservative position. So to the hobbits out there, chill the fuck out, because you have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. And, really look at this platform. Really look into her and see what she represents. She's going to represent, right? Who does she represent? How many people does she represent? And then who are those people that she does represent? So that's an important political science question. Essentially, it's easy just to be like anti-heroin, anti-alcohol. I don't know if she would make alcohol illegal. She might, and she really doesn't like alcohol, and she really hates heroin and all these other drugs. And being out there and about, that is a fucking problem. But I don't see it as a heroin problem. I see it as a homeless druggie problem. Homeless druggies. And does anybody in society give a shit? There was one guy in there that he almost broke down in tears. You know, he almost broke down in tears. So I showed him some kindness. I wasn't harassing him or anything when it was like, hey, can we talk to you for a second? He's like, nah, I'm good. Yeah, I guess it's probably on the streets, right? Who the fuck is this? What the fuck is this shit about, right? He's just trying to draw a picture. He's just trying to color a picture. So I think that I showed him some kindness, and he nearly, so is that it? We just don't love these people? We're not showing them compassion and love? No. Domaining houses like 811 on 3rd Street, 81001 on the east side Heights. And so people on the east side, make sure you say Heights, okay? Because that's like, the east side has a bad reputation. I was told I live in the hood, but when it compares to the east side, like, there's no comparison. That's just fucking, I would become a right-wing fucking conservative Republican if I lived in the east side. I don't know how many good residents there still are there, but there's just, people kind of, I don't want to say trashy people, I want to say poor and dirty people who don't have, showers, and a lot of them are probably on drugs, but they've also been forgotten. They've been forgotten by society and pushed off to the side. So if you're a resident that lives in the East Side Heights where, some of those bad spots, that would fucking suck. You'd always be nervous about who's going to be in your yard breaking into shit, what random crazy fucking thing is going to happen. Good residents, there's good peaceful residents. They should not feel like they are being terrorized in their own homes. They should not feel, unsafe. And personally, I don't see how they could be safe. That's a fucking problem. It's a big-ass fucking problem, and somebody needs to, go after it. And guess what? Charlotte Perez, when there was a city council race coming up, right, it happens every 2 years, so everybody knows that these city council races happen. She was the only one that raised her hand, and she was the only one that raised her hand for like a month. And then eventually a bunch of people jumped in, right? 6 other people jumped in at the last second. But seriously, that shows that she's got gumption. She is very mature. So she's part of the enlightened member. She's an enlightened member of the lumpen proletariat. And I'm going to expand on the lumpen proletariat, but she'll work with Josh Bruns on a lot of issues, but she'll work with Mark Aliff with a lot of issues too. Perez believes in the rule of law. She believes in the rule of law, that nobody is above the law. It doesn't matter if you're rich, it doesn't matter if you're powerful, it doesn't matter who the hell you are. You can't go around assaulting people, you can't go around stealing, you can't go around raping, you can't go around murdering. You do one of those horrible fucking things to somebody, it doesn't matter who the fuck you are. You should get in trouble just like anybody else, and not just those 4 things, but sometimes I feel like we've lost some morality in our society. So if we can agree on those 4 evils, the worst evils there are, then, we're making some progress. Now, she also believes in jail and police reform. And here, listen to this police reform. She believes in Rudolph Giuliani's broken window theory of policing. Rudolph Giuliani. Broken window is basically saying, don't put up with any bullshit. Somebody pisses on the fucking sidewalk, that's a fucking crime. If somebody throws some fucking litter down, that's a goddamn crime. If there's a broken window, you heard about the criticisms of Rudolph Giuliani's broken window. He did this in New York. He used it to get rid of the gangs. So she's in favor of the broken window theory model of policing. Check it out. So this is, I would say, a conservative thing, but it's also kind of an inevitable thing. The government has the monopoly of force. They have the monopoly of violence. They get all the fascist violence. They get it all. They're the Leviathan, and they get all the damn violence because they got to squash anybody else that might want to take their monopoly of violence away. So if you got violent instincts, then try to become part of the government, because that's the only fucking entity that's allowed to be violent. I would say vigilante, right? If you are defending some shit in the moment. But, when it comes to that police idea, man, instead of arresting all these homeless people, if the police would just take the homeless and find some homes, get them contract crafted and house the homeless situation. Personally, I don't know. I am against the war on drugs. Josh Bruns is against the war on drugs. Tommy Farrell had mentioned that the war on drugs had failed, and then Michael Stapleton's a libertarian, so we definitely know where that principled man stands when it comes to the war on drugs. Now, when it comes to Charlotte Perez, however, she's not against the war on drugs. She's pro Nixon's 1973 war on drugs when it comes to all other drugs but marijuana. So she's in favor of Nixon's war on drugs. She's in favor of Giuliani's broken window theory of policing. And she's in favor of 2B, the sales tax for the 24 new police. And she likes the spirit of Question 300. She likes the neighborhood councils get the control over the police. So all power to the people, power to the neighborhood councils. She likes the spirit of 300. Thing that I'll say about Rudolph Giuliani's broken window theory, see, I think that Charlotte Perez actually has her finger on the pulse of Pueblo City a little bit better idea than I am. I'm a dreamer. I'm an idealist. So get the residents of Eastside Heights some peace and security. If you have to do, if I don't want any heads to be cracked. I want all the people that have no homes in the Eastside Heights to go live in the Contour Crafting at the Big Rock Candy Mountain. Let's get a fucking acre and then build a bunch of cheap houses and then start deputizing some of the homeless people, give them some power, give them some responsibility. They'll take pride in the place. They'll take pride in themselves. They'll take pride in their place, and they'll make sure bullshit ain't happening there. So that's the only way you can do it. And then maybe you have a police officer there, all times too, just in case. But that's how you're going to solve the Eastside Heights heroin, druggy, homeless issue. They're both. Essentially all Rudolph Giuliani did with his whole broken window theory of policing, and I've heard of criticisms, but where I fall upon, at least, right now, the way I feel about it as a 35-year-old man who continually gets more and more conservative as I get older, but the way that I feel about it right now is that it's inevitable. The government has the monopoly of force, they got the monopoly of power and violence, and so they're the ones that are allowed to beat people up, not viciously, right? We don't want anybody just beating the shit out of somebody, but they arrest them and they do it properly, right? They're the professionals, that's why they're the good guys. And what a stamp of approval to get an enlightened member of the lumpen proletariat saying that the police are outnumbered, and so we need more police because between the gangs and the police, she sees the police as the greater good. Do you not believe in that, conservative Republican? A stronger, bigger stamp of approval than that. Even if there are problems with the police department, and of course, to err is human. Who the fuck would think that there's some people that just, they're incapable of making mistakes? We all make mistakes, but what kind of mistake did you make? Did you rape somebody? That one cop went to jail, right? He was crying. Apparently he didn't think he was guilty. But that's exactly what the fuck should happen, right? He's raping like a shit ton of people, got his fucking just desserts. That's exactly what should happen. And my fear actually isn't so much that my fear with Charlotte Perez is that she may get in there and she may forget about us. And so where I feel comfortable with her not forgetting about us is that she comes from the struggle. She comes from the struggle. So if there's ever a time when she just thinks police could do no wrong, I think you just have to say, well, remember that by asking her, different things that have happened in the past. You remember that one time? So she knows that, bullshit has happened and that to err is human, but there's some outright fucking criminals. So whereas she's in favor of the police, she's in favor of more police, she's in favor of both 300 kind of like, 50-50 and 2B, she likes the spirit of 300, but it's so specific that, there's a lot to it, there's a lot of moving parts, so she doesn't want to endorse something she doesn't know 100% about, but she likes the idea of the neighborhood councils being over the police. And so we, the neighborhoods, have the power. The power goes to the people. The power goes to the neighborhoods, to our little villages. Right? Pueblo is made up of lots of little villages and lots of little tribes. And so she's in favor of 2B. She wants more taxes, sales tax to increase for 24 new police officers. Personally, I don't think that you can get a bigger stamp of approval. You can't get I think the reason why gang members do what they do, either they weren't educated, right? You had the Joyce Bales, that's, all the 20 and 30-year-olds right now, Joyce Bales had something to do with them, right? So all the 20 and 30-year-olds who went to school here in Pueblo City, and I would actually love to ask, the so-called transients, and I hate that word, They're humans, right? They're not transients, they're people. And by putting savage, by putting a title, by putting a name, a disparaging name on somebody, that could lead to their death. And so I would be very careful with shit like that. Be very, savage, right? That's what Native Americans were, and that was it. That's not cussing. Oh, they're savage. And nobody wants to be savage, right? They're savage whites, And but that was the Native Americans are savage. We need to kill them all. And then that was good enough. Just as soon as my position on the police is more radical. So I don't think you get bigger stamp of approval. You can't get a bigger stamp of approval when the enlightened member of the lumpen proletariat, and because she's comes from the lumpen proletariat, I think that's what people are going to do to Charlotte. I think they're going to put every single fucking criminal element that comes out of the lumpen the proletariat is the people, the lumpen proletariat is the criminal class. And it's the people that have been forgotten. Why do people become gang members? Because they're not educated, there's no jobs, they didn't, they weren't taught to sort of get along, and then it's a capitalist dog-eat-dog society. So you've got to make it. You've got to get out there, and if they can't do something productive, well, it's so much easier just to go around robbing and stealing and selling drugs. And so that's why it's very important to have good police. We need to have role models. They need to be good police, and the way that the American system of the three branches of government in order to prevent tyranny is that you got to have a check. There's got to be a citizen check. And I would like to have a citizens police board, but to be honest, the city council is a citizens complaint authority board over the police. The city council should do their goddamn job. And so actually I would like to know that from all the city council members. Do you know that police are capable of doing wrong? Do you know that? Because if you don't know that, if you can't even admit that police officer can commit a crime or hurt anybody unnecessarily, get the fuck out of here. I mean, God, corruption, right? You give them power, you give them a gun. That's, they got power. Only the people with power are corrupt. If you're powerless, you could be evil, but not corrupt. Ride-alongs with the police. Charlotte Perez will be an active member when it comes to, she understands that the city council can investigate and they can subpoena all of these city employees. So if there is a cop that is committing crime, if there is a corrupt, dirty cop, if there is a trigger-happy cop that murdered somebody in cold blood, and at first nobody was telling the truth, but then eventually the partner and some other witness, and then other people start coming forward, then Charlotte Perez knows the charter, understands the city enough to get investigations going, to get subpoenas issued, to where all the witnesses and all the evidence and documents, she could subpoena witnesses and she could subpoena documents. So then that's important. To have subpoena power, to have investigative power. She also has the power of the purse. So when it comes to the budget, if there's a specific department, if there's special teams and they're the most violent ones, Charlotte Perez, in order to make sure that the police who are already good will remain good, because she's in favor of the police. She's in favor of the police, even though she has friends and she understands why they're disaffected, and that, there's all these, everybody's got so many fucking problems and major issues, major problems. There's a lot of people that's hurting right now, a lot of people that's hurting, and we need good people that will listen, and then they got the will to actually solve the problem, not just make sure the East Side Heights is cleared of, make sure that the good neighbors, the good houses, the ones that aren't the druggies, the homeless druggies, make sure they're safe. That's absolutely right. I don't think you can get around Rudolph Giuliani's broken window theory. It's the government's of force, right? They got a monopoly of force. They got a monopoly of power. We need to understand that. And when they have a monopoly of power, and yeah, I want a fucking, nice community. I don't want broken windows and trash. And personally, I feel that it's inevitable, but it's a conservative idea, right? It's not community policing. Community policing would be a different kind of policing. And community policing actually would probably be progressive, but you probably could do both. Community policing is probably more progressive, but why not do both? Why not have the broken window theory and community policing? So you got the community policing that is about the police officers being out and about, going to little league games, doing shop with the cop, and doing shit where they connect with the community. They need to be stellar members of the community, because the importance of our police officers is when they accuse of somebody, I want to believe them. And so they got to be good witnesses. They got to be, they have to testify in court. If somebody says that they're not guilty of one of their accusations, that police officer has to go to court, and he's got to defend what he saw, what he did, and then, in open court, and then as the people will see, and as a jury, we'll decide if we agree with that person's behavior. Perez is going to do ride-alongs with the police. And this isn't, again, not an antagonistic thing, but just we're in this thing together. So she's going to get there, get to know the police officer, find out, who they are. So you build like a relationship with them, get a repertoire. Once you got a repertoire, then you could actually, have more discussions. Once you get a repertoire, shit, that's essential to any relationship, right? Then you won't be so sensitive. You'll know where people are coming. Some people will joke about shit. Some people will just want laugh. Other people are ultra serious. So relationships are hard. But I think if you are committed, if you actually want to make a relationship work, then you can. And so that's important. She wants to build relationships up with the police, but also while she's out and about, right? She's got eyes and ears too. And if she sees some bullshit going down, she'll say something. So doing the ride-alongs with the police, being in favor of the Citizens Complaint Oversight Board, she can work with Josh Bruns on this. Charlotte Perez is an independent thinker, right? She's got some liberal ideas and then some conservative ideas, but I believe that she's got her finger on the pulse. She's got her finger on the pulse. People are listening to her. She has a very, very good chance of winning this thing. The optics is hers. And then for the criticism, well, I'm her friend. I'm her friend, and so therefore, whatever she doesn't know. And then once you get in there, there's going to be Chris Nickel, Larry Atencio, and then Ray Aguilera. Right? Those are the backbone. That's going to be the three people that's there. They're all left of center. So we already got a progressive board. All we need is one city council person in order to get a majority progressive board. Now, that's important to me, progressives, she is progressive to me, but she's very conservative. She's in favor of the war on drugs, and she's in favor of question 2B, so she's conservative on those issues. So she's very conservative on some issues and very liberal on other issues. When I asked her what she thought about change, she said she wanted to change everything. That's not totally true, right? Because she still believes in the war on drugs minus the marijuana. So she's for the war on drugs minus the marijuana. But when I asked her about change, she said she wanted, all change. She wanted everything to change, even the things that are working pretty good and doing decent. Those things can improve. And I was like, oh shit, that's absolutely true. So she wants, everything to change, but she also doesn't, right? So I think she's very passionate, and I think it's a very good energy, comes from a good place. It was Athens. I'm pretty sure it was Athens, the birthplace of democracy, a city-state that's surrounded by Attica. So there's Athens and Attica. You kind of need both, right? You need the city, you need the land. And then that's the homeland. Home rule is personal, right? That's your identity. You're from Pueblo. You're a Puebloan. That's your identity because we're a home rule city. So I got her back. I got Charlotte's back. I mean, what's it take to be a city council person? Anybody can be taught. Anybody can learn new things. You have three branches of government, right? You got the legislative, you got the executive, and you got the judicial branch. And theoretically, the police are underneath civilian control, so either they're under one of those branches or all three of those branches or not. So what's it actually take? You got a city manager who's going to sign the laws and enforce the laws. City council is the ones who write the laws. They're the ones who do the budget, right? So to write a law, to sign a law, and then you vote for it. That Larry Atencio had encouraged her to run, and then she also said that she helped Chris Nickel get on the board, and I think she really likes Chris Nickel. So a part of me, I hope she doesn't just do whatever Chris Nickel says, but I think she might because he's already a city councilman. She helped him run, so she respects him. She likes his views on Black Hills. So I would think that I hope she doesn't just do anything and everything Chris Nickel does, but whatever Chris Nickel believes is what Charlotte Perez will basically believe, 80 to 90%. And so he will have another vote. He'll now have another say-so on council. And like I said, I got her back. That which she doesn't know, I got her back. And I'm no slouch. I know a thing or two about, got a pretty good dynamic going on. That which, the potholes that I have versus, she's a real good campaigner. She's good with the optics. She, wants to talk to people and she wants to get out there. And so she's building all of these relationships. And that's essential. That's vital. That is key to any politician. So she's been fighting for a lot of issues. She fought against Tabor. She has been doing voter registrations and a whole bunch of initiative campaigns. So she's got some experience. She's been around the block. She knows enough. What she's doing is very politically mature. And like I said, I got her back. I got her back. And what she doesn't figure out, I can help her, but just that she gets a lawyer friend so that way she knows, what her rights are, and to read that charter very carefully, because if you miss more than 2 meetings or if you don't vote at a meeting, then you could be, kicked out immediately. But I don't know if any of these candidates know. Aisha Jiren, she doesn't know that. Everybody that's actually for strong mayor, they haven't read the fucking charter, and they didn't read strong mayor. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. Kevin Cover doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. You have Tommy Farrell doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. They don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They did not read that goddamn charter. They did not read the fucking changes, and they did not decide that the changes made the city better. They talked to the guy, and maybe this just gives, great PR, great, connections for Nick Gardasar and his group. He was able to get any of the, opposition groups, and he's been able to quell them. The chieftain has been backing us. The pulp has backed us. It looks like it's unanimous. Who's all the candidates? Joe Latino, I think if you talk to him, he's probably a nice man. I'd say he's probably an old-timer. Dennis Flores, he's 70 years old. He was around when Joyce Bales was around, so he's done the work, but it's like, man, I haven't really looked into him, so I didn't really give him much of a look. So I haven't given Dennis Flores a look. I need to check them all out. I give them an arbitrary. I ask them all 21 questions, and if they don't respond, tomorrow by midnight, that's essentially my arbitrary deadline. But I ask them questions, and you don't want to respond to me. You don't want to say that you're going to get to them. You don't want to say one fucking idea, and just responding to me. So Joe Latino had responded to me, and Taylor Voss had responded to me. So some people have been responding to me, even if they're not, answering my questions. They're at least acknowledging my existence. But people who, read the fucking thing, and they're like, I'm just going to just walk on over here. It's like, good person. Her heart is in the right place. She has a progressive platform. How many of these candidates have a progressive platform? I'm basically going blank when I think about the other candidates. There's Mark Aliff, Jason Muniz, and Charlotte Perez. Mark Aliff, Jason Muniz, Joe Latino, Charlotte Perez, and then I guess I mentioned Dennis Flores, Aisha Jiren. And Aisha Jiren, I don't know anything about her. Apparently she's a nice person, but she's a business owner, right? So she owns a marijuana business. Is she going to consolidate and monopolize marijuana? Is she going to give licenses out to everybody or just to her friends? And she's already a business owner, right? So she's a business owner, and I don't know anything about her. So she has not put forth a platform. I don't know what the fuck you stand for. I can't vote for you. I'm not going to just be stuck with somebody. I'm not going to cut my losses. I'm going to vote for you, or I'm going to vote, I'm not going to vote for you at all. And then how fucking hard can it be? Look at the candidates that are in there now. Look at the city council now. And you're just voting, right? So you can get in there and you could become buddies with somebody, and they'll show you the ropes. And they'll want to talk to them and show you the ropes because they want you to vote for them. All they need is 4 people, right? Just 4 people. So Atencio, Chris Nickel, and Ray Aguilera is going to be that's the backbone. That's the backbone, but they could not be, the majority. And that's what I want. I want the new ideas. I want the progressives to take all 4 spots. Mark Aliff is a conservative Republican. He's principled, so I know where he stands. I like that. I appreciate that. I appreciate Michael Stapleton. I know precisely where Michael Stapleton stands. Now, I don't know where these other candidates stand. I don't know where Aisha Jiren, who I believe is the front runner, but I don't know what she believes. I have no idea what I will get with an Aisha Jiren councilwoman. Charlotte Perez in the club, in the elite club, which has the city lawyer. So she's going to have the city lawyer defending her actions, and she can go to the city lawyer and ask what he thinks about this and that and what are her options. And so she will be able to figure it out. She'll be able to manage, and she will be able to figure it out. So even if she hasn't read Alexis de Tocqueville, even if she hasn't read John Locke, she's a smart cookie. She knows what's going on. She knows enough. She knows plenty. She knows plenty. So she'll manage. She'll figure it out. She'll navigate her way. So she knows enough, and then she'll have the lawyers. She'll have, I believe her platform to be very progressive. There's a lot of conservative ideas that are on the platform too. So I did talk to her about the platform, but at no point did I try to coerce her. So her platform is her ideas. Those are the ideas she thought about and she likes and she agrees with. So that is precisely who she is. She's been going around, she's shaking hands, she's got the optics, right? So she has that Spanish costume. And then also never forget this, she's an average person. She's a regular person. She's an average citizen. And I definitely believe in average citizens, the capability of regular, average, working class people to be able to do extraordinary things. Anybody is capable of doing anything if they put their mind to it. And she's dedicated, and she's putting her mind to it. She can do it. And Kevin Cover. Oh, yeah, Kevin Cover. So he had a $10 burger thing, which I don't know if I was more than poor, right? If I had $10 to go get a burger, I probably would have met up with him. I probably would have gone to the Latino Chamber of Commerce, but I don't have the $20 to go there. So if you have a $20 or a $10 surcharge at the door, you're not going to, talk to the poor? You're not going to talk to anybody that can't afford your little fucking fundraising event? Don't you want to just get your message out? Don't you want us to just, what the fuck? We're supposed to just worship you and like you, and then we're all going to be your slaves? I'm not going to be a slave to anybody. So get that shit out of your fucking head right now. But Kevin Cover doesn't have a platform. Aisha Jiren doesn't have a platform. I'm not for sure if Jason has a platform. Nobody. Who has a platform? Joe Latino? People that I know that has a platform. And I'm going to, dig deeper into the candidates. But I'm not very optimistic. The only people that I know that have platforms, Taylor Voss has a platform, and Dottie Calhoun has a kind of platform. A lot of people have slogans. Dennis Mays has some slogans, right? Dennis Mays is transparency, community involvement, good man. And that gives you some indication, but get to the substance. Give me some policy details. I want a plan, a specific plan. Talk to me like I'm the smart intellectual man that I am. Don't fucking bullshit me. Tell me precisely what you're going to do. I can understand things, and just Charlotte Perez, Joshua Bruns, and Taylor Voss, who's running for school board, so that's not even relevant to this race. So only two candidates has fucking platforms. Nobody does platforms. Believes in the rule of law. If a police officer kills somebody in cold blood, she thinks that police officer should be charged just like anybody else. She does not believe in immunity for the police. She was confused about Section 6.4, so she didn't know if Section 6.4 was truly immunity for the police. Nick Gardasar said it at the meeting that it was an immunity clause, so it was used for immunity, and it's weird that you have all these streets that are being protected and then a very specific right to the city manager in 60 days about the accident, the fall, the time of day, everything. And very specific provisions if someone's going to sue for falling on sidewalks, and then they added this city employee provision in the course of their duty. If a city employee now has immunity in the course of their duty, that's immunity. That's immunity. So she wasn't 100% for it. I think she's in favor of a strong mayor, but that 6.4 thing did bother her. Understands that the city council has the power of the budget, that the city council has the power to subpoena and to investigate. So this is how she can make sure that the police are good. They can't hire and fire anybody. They are very limited in their hiring and firing abilities. I think they can inquire. I think they can ask leading questions. I think they can have executive sessions where they speak honestly. I'm not telling you to hire or fire anybody. I'm just telling you, my opinion is they're an incompetent, low-life piece of crap, and they shouldn't be working for us, but that's just my opinion, right? So you're influencing it, but it's personnel issues, and you're not ordering the person publicly or privately. This is just an executive session about personnel, and I'm sure they do that shit all the time. So, but they need to be careful about that. She understands that she's going to be, she needs to show up to every city council meeting, and that she has to vote for every single one. The police commit a crime if one, let's say, Joe Badge the third, he commits a crime, then she's like, okay, we got the investigative powers, bring him in. No, we're going to get the police officer in, we're going to ask you questions and ask what the hell happened, and we want you to bring these documents. So bring some evidence, bring yourself, we got some questions. And so now the city council has been turned into a little trial thing, but it's just an inquiry thing, an investigative thing, and they have to answer questions. They have to answer questions. So then cut the budget. She understands that. Fire the officer, right? That's up to the city manager. But I think that, if way I look at the hiring and firing issue is I want a decent police chief, okay? For instance, if I want a decent police chief, but my city manager chooses a police chief I didn't like, well, I don't like that. That doesn't sit well with me. File criminal charges. So firing the officer, right? File criminal charges, cut the budget, subpoena, investigate. She'll use any of those things that she needs, right? Any and all necessary action against any and all the crimes committed by the police. So she wants good police. She is dedicated to good police. Now, she's in favor of Joshua Bruns's homelessness, right, with contour crafting, so her and Josh Bruns can work on contour crafting. And her and Josh Bruns also agrees on eminent domaining. Condemning the properties, the city takes those properties over, and if there's asbestos and shit, then fucking, tear it down. If it can be rehabbed, then rehab it, right? Make it decent. Or put a homeless person in it and just say, take care of this. This is your place. Take care of it. They'll take care of each other. The homeless person will take care of the house will take care of that homeless person. And then homelessness is solved. It's a coordination failure. That's the only problem. Perez is in favor of charter conventions. She's in favor of dedicating streets and alleys with the names of the innocent slain. She's in favor of Ricky Munez's alley. We need to have a sign that says the alley of Ricky Munez. His name will live forever. And that also points out a tragic thing that happened that should never have happened, and it should never happen again. And he was a hero. He was nonviolent. I don't even think he had a gun. He goes out there without a gun, says, get the hell out of here, and gets shot. Just for standing up, just for being, distinguishing himself from the rest of the neighborhood that ignored the bullshit. He wasn't going to ignore the bullshit. He stood up to the bullshit, and he died for it. And he died. And it looks like shit right now. Fucking goat heads and weeds, and it's dark, and, that damn dog is so scared out of its fucking mind. But I understand why, right? Their kid, their boy, got shot and killed. Perez believes in the broken windows theory of Rudy Giuliani. She wants to clean up the town, not just in terms of the crime, but just to keep it clean. Don't you like a nice, clean home? Who doesn't like a nice, clean home? We should have a nice, clean town, too. So she wants to clean up the town to attract the outside businesses, to get those good jobs. Good jobs come in here. They like Pueblo City. We have a high standard of living, lots of smart people, a lot of intelligent people, so they can hire for these tech companies, and we have these socially conscious companies coming into our town. She wants to clean Pueblo City up in order to attract those businesses to bring those jobs. It's fucking smart. It's genius. Common people get the annual State of the Pueblo City reports written for the common people, so the budget, policy, municipal code, and the charters. All this, it should be easy, right? Every single kid in Pueblo should learn the Charter of Pueblo when they're in kindergarten. Believes in the obvious thing of how the county and the city should consolidate to reduce the redundancy. So she believes in consolidation, and so does Josh Bruns. So, God, look at this. We get Josh Bruns and we get Charlotte Perez in there. We've got a lot of just maybe 6 or 7 ideas, but that's enough. That's enough to work on, right? Change is going to happen. Positive, good, healthy change, utilizing technology, and actually addressing the problems that have been going on for centuries. Crime, poverty, the heroin thing didn't come around about because of marijuana. That might have actually encouraged it, but you've had fucking problems with drugs here in Pueblo City ever since Nixon's war on drugs began. So get the fuck out of here. Oh, heroin just got here, 5 years ago? Get the fuck out of here. You had all the meth, you had Quaaludes back then, right? In the 60s, and Quaaludes and whatever bullshit, y'all, acids, LSD. Quaaludes and LSD. So you're the fucking 60s and 70s generation. Give me a fucking break. You're the one that introduced the drug culture, the sex revolution. And the hippies were right. The dirty fucking hippies were right. So the one Pueblo, she believes in Pueblo uniting, all of Pueblo uniting, consolidating into one. So does Josh Bruns. They both believe in an aggressive arsenal of grant writers for state and federal grants. They both believe, she believes in the poison ivy, poison oak, poison sumac, and poison hemlock, adding all that to the noxious weeds list. She actually has the good idea to destroy the Goathead Epidemic. It's only $100 So for $100, buy some Stem Seed Goathead Weevils, and then they'll eat it all up. They'll eat all the fucking goat heads in the community up. And you'll probably need more than just, one, but that's a good start, and especially if it works. Fuck. We can get rid of the goat heads in 1 year. One pro-municipal trash, specifically Sweden's trash to electricity program, so use technology, get to 100% clean energy. If we're going to jump off of Black Hills, well, we're going to need some other company. Black Hills has been giving us electricity the entire time, so we just pull out, right? I feel like maybe you should have like a 5-year pull-out plan. They're trying to do an off-ramp thing in 2020. I'm not sure what the off-ramp thing, are they saying in 2020 we're going to be cut, so we only got 3 years to figure this shit out? I mean, that will just jump off the cliff and grow our wings on the way down. So, but it's my God, no fucking electricity will be like Puerto Rico. So we need to have that alternative in place, right? So we're going to go with municipal electricity. We're going to turn our trash into electricity. We're going to use solar power, wind power. We're going to use, those should be like the 3 key ingredients, and geothermal power. I think geothermal power is a good utilization. So use those, those 4 things. Use all 4 of those in order to get a municipal trash company. You're going to get municipal Wi-Fi, get some municipal trash, and then Sweden's trash to electricity program. So this is beautiful. This is brilliant. So I think to put all the criminal elements on Charlotte Perez isn't fair. She's a very nice, kind person, nice, kind, positive. Now, some people might say that, there was one person that said to me that she was a bully. I'm sure we all have our moments. So I would encourage you to give Charlotte Perez another chance, because she is warm and kind. And so I think if you get to know her, then you'll see a different side to her. So I like Charlotte Perez. She's got the most progressive platform out of all the candidates, and people want to say they're not for Charlotte Perez. And who the fuck are you for? Who the fuck are you for? Who's better? I mean, Mark Aliff is good, but he's a Republican. Perez is a hardcore Christian. She believes in God very much, and she believes in Christianity. As an atheist, I don't really care much for that, but that's a conservative thing. And then the only thing I want to know as an atheist is, have you chosen good? The KKK was Christian, Hitler was Christian, Mussolini was Christian, the Russian czars were Christian, Christopher Columbus, that fucking genocidal maniac, he was a Christian. So all these, sick fucking people, just because you're a Christian doesn't make you a good. All I want to know is, have you chosen good? I mean, an atheist, there is no, there's no big daddy staring down at them or whatever. So it's possible that people could choose evil. And it doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. You could choose evil and then cover it up with your Christianity. So that's what I want to know. Are you good or evil? And Charlotte Perez has chosen goodness. Charlotte Perez has chosen goodness. She showed some gumption. She raised her hand. All the lumpen proletariat bullshit on her isn't a fucking fair criticism whatsoever. She's for Rudy Giuliani's broken windows theory. She's for Richard Nixon's war on drugs, minus the marijuana. So those are conservative issues. She's a Christian. She's chosen goodness. She's kind. She's nice. She's patient. She listens to everybody, tries to say hi to anybody that she knows. She's a good person. She's a good person. So, she's an independent thinker too. So I just think that when the enlightened member of the lumpen proletariat gives you an endorsement, Troy Davenport, he knows that Charlotte Perez is pro-marijuana and anti-heroin. Troy Davenport, he knows that she believes that the police are outnumbered. And in a way, because where the limitation of her progressiveness is, that entitles the police department to continue to do what they're doing. Charlotte Perez is also very real. Charlotte Perez is very real. She's comfortable talking to the police. She's comfortable talking to the people. She's comfortable talking to anybody. And lots of people do respect her. So Peter Roper, I don't know why he put those parts or why that was said, but this is, Peter Roper heard that, right? He overheard that the gangs outnumber the police. That's a part that he put into his article. So Peter Roper is paying attention to Charlotte Perez. Troy Davenport is paying attention to Charlotte Perez. Charlotte Perez has her finger on the pulse of Pueblo City. She knows a lot of people. She has seen a lot of things. She's of Pueblo City. She's of Pueblo City, so she's one of you all. she's one of us, right? Hopefully I'm Pueblo for 9 months, right? Do I have to be a year? Is that when I'm become fully initiated as a full-blown Puebloan? How about if I get a bunch of progressives? That's very important. She's an independent person. She wants to clean the gangs up, just like Giuliani did in New York. He brought peace and security to New York. The fundamental principle of the state, the Leviathan, is that the government has a monopoly on the power of force, on the power of violence, and they do that to secure law and order. They're the biggest, baddest motherfucker on the block, right? The fundamental principle of the state is that they have a monopoly on the power of force. They get a monopoly. They get all the power of force. So they're the strongest, baddest gang on the block, and the reason why is to stop all the other gangs. So I could see a world where we crack down on the gang violence and on the drugs, but if we still give a shit, if we're a good person, Tocqueville said, America is great because America is good, and if we cease to be good, then we'll cease to be great. So the way we maintain our goodness is we give them. So Charlotte Perez, so far, should be given credit for bringing up the heroin issue, animal rights issue, and suicide issues. Those were her main issues to begin with, but she actually represents a lot more than just that. And so she wants a war on poverty, a war on homelessness, and a war on heroin. Charlotte Perez's voice is vital. When she says that she's for 24 more cops, with ballot question 2B, when she says that she likes the spirit of question 300, when she says that the gangs outnumber the police, when she says we need more police, when she says that between the people she grew up with and the police department, the police are the greater good. You can't get a bigger endorsement than that. So that says, let's get some more police officers in here. If anything, Charlotte Perez just give permission for the police department to, keep doing what they're doing. She endorsed them, even though she knows there's some bullshit that's going on. I made the point, so just to bring this point home, I could see a world where we protect the good neighbors, where we get rid of the East Side transients on the East Side Heights. We get those transients and we get them out of that neighborhood. Not to get rid of them, not to destroy them, not to genocide them. They're people too. And if we're good people, if we're Christians, if we truly are going to be a good society, America is great because America is good. So we can't cease to be good. We've got to continue to be good. And Christians give a shit about the poor. They give a shit about others. They don't hate. They're forgiving. So the fact that get those neighbors, get those good people some peace in East Side Heights, but also get those druggies, those homeless druggies, get them some homes. So I could see us cracking down on Pueblo City, but then ending the war on drugs in 5 years. So that's why I think Charlotte Perez Anthony Aloysius Gripshover. This is my uncle. He died long before I was even born. Aloysius is a German word Gripshover is a German word. Aloysius means fame and war. He was born May 19th, 1955. 1955, 1 year after Pueblo City rewrote their charter. He got the 1954 charter, the revolutionary and progressive 1954 charter. But he was in a car accident November 22nd, 1973. And check out that date, because I'm pretty sure it's to the date when JFK died 10 years earlier. And this shirt is tearing up, so I just wanted to document that he existed.